Erlinda, can you tell us how young are you?
I'm 101.
101. What was your birthday?
April the 4th, 1924, I was born. In Flagstaff, Arizona.
I understand you are of Navajo and
Navajo and Hopi.
You know, I was fascinated to hear that because the Navajo code talkers are such a big story.
You're right.
Have you met some of them?
There's one that lives in the Four Corners between New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado, I believe.
It was really an untold story, Fred, sadly, about World War II, but it's being told now. Isn't it? That's a good thing, right? The contributions that the Navajo Nation made.
The Navajo talkers, they would communicate by numbers. One number would mean a word in English, but it was said in Navajo. They used the Navajo language to communicate with I'll say the Marines, okay? Them speaking in Navajo, and the Navajo language was interpreted as numbers. The Japanese didn't know what they were talking about. They're using numbers and they're using that word. What is that? They could never break that code because it was the Navajo. They didn't know the Navajo language. I never learned how to speak it, but my mother did, and them being Indians, you know, from the Navajo tribe.
So you're proud of your heritage, right?
Yes, I am. I am very proud of being almost an American Indian, even though there was a mixture there between the Spaniards, put it that way, and of course, you know how that turned out, you know. The Spaniards were the first people that came to the state of New Mexico, and then they got involved with people in New Mexico, and that's how it all came about. So that's why I have Navajo and Spanish. See, when I was growing up, I didn't know how to speak English. Because all I spoke was Spanish. But when I started school in the first grade, I was told not to speak in Spanish. Well, I didn't know English. I had to learn it before I could speak it. I learned it in the first grade. Okay, I learned how to communicate in English. But I learned pretty quickly, pretty fast. I learned it. And see, I was a very good learner, and I wanted to learn because, first of all, I liked school. My health interrupted my education on my third year high school. I went that far. I could go to the fourth year because by then, you know, my health got bad. So,
Okay.
But I did go back because I was very interested that I was going to learn what I needed to. So I went back to school to finish my education, and I did. Because I wanted to go up steps. I didn't want to go down.
Right.
I wanted to go up so that I had learned all of that because I didn't, you know, I wanted to go and be able to speak good, know what I was talking about, and give all the people wanted to know, you know, I could answer in English. And I did it, you know, because I had that drive in me that I was going to do it.
We can do it, right?
Yeah, that's why they call us, you know, we can do it. And I had that in mind since I was...
Tell me about this medal.
This medal was given to me by the...
Congress, right?
Yes. And,
Congressional Gold Medal.
Yeah. You know, my purpose when I was working, it wasn't to get medals or anything. My purpose and my mind was set in doing the best job and the best equipment that our men needed to defend me and to keep me safe in the States so that I could work and make all the equipment that they needed to fight with. So they kept me safe so that I could do it.
Where were you on December the 7th, 1941?
On December 7th, I was still in Flagstaff, Arizona, and that was in the early 1938 or 39, okay?
Well, you moved there and 38, 39.
we had just first bought the first radio because that's when the radios came into focus in 1938,
Okay,
39. By 1940, we already had radio.
okay.
Okay, because we were without radio for many years. Very exciting to get the first radio and hear news. Well, I didn't really care about the news, but the music. And we used to listen to Lawrence Welk and because we love music. And the only thing that I got really sad about was when I heard the news in Flagstaff that Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor, and then my mother came and she knelt by the radio, and she was crying. But I was wondering why she crying, because my mother had gone through the First World War and had lost family members, so that was my first knowledge of what war was like. And I heard what the president said to us. He did say that that Japan had bombed Pearl Harbor. And we're going to give them trouble and more trouble because they woke up a giant. I heard him as if I could hear him today. Every word he said, it stayed with me, and I have never forgotten it.
Your brother served in the service?
Oh yes, he was in the Army. As soon as he turned 18, he was drafted and he was sent to Texas for his basic training. And in 3 months, he was in Japan.
And you wanted to serve. You went down to enlist, and what did they say to you?
I went to the recruiting office, and I walked in there, and this young man said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "I came here to join the Army." And then he said, "Well, how old are you?" I said, I'm going to be 15. Which is not true, but I said 15. And then he said to me, "Well," he said, "you need your mother's permission." And I said, "No." He said, "We don't take women." And I says, "Well, I'm not a woman, I'm a girl, and I still want to go." Well, he said, "Well, we don't take girls either." I wanted to say something bad to him, but I couldn't because I had better manners than that. But when I went outside and I walked out that building, believe me, because he was not nice about it. I didn't go to ask for anything else. All I wanted to do was do my part.
Serve your country.
Yes, that's what I went there for. I didn't went there for anything else. And I believe I was asking for something my country needed, needed help, and I was willing to give it.
So when did you become a Rosie, per se? I mean, what
Women or girls that worked in defense. First of all, we didn't have transportation, say from my house to go downtown and take these buses and go to Goodyear, Arizona, which is 21 miles from Phoenix and 21 miles back from Phoenix to Goodyear, Arizona. But I was willing to do that. I didn't care how far I had to walk in order to do it, because I was determined I was going to do something for my country, because I wanted my brother to have the best equipment.
You were a bucker then, right?
Yes, I was a bucker inside the B-29 bombers. They chose the smallest girls and the skinniest ones, so that we could crawl inside the wings, sit on the floor, and then we had 3 different bucking bars. They're heavy, because we needed a bar that went like in a point, so it could get right into the end of the wing, to buck the rivets. The bars were heavy,
Yeah.
but we were strong, I had strong hands, and I could hold that bar and hold it there until that rivet was bucked in at the right length. We couldn't flatten them. They had to stand out a little bit. Not flatten them. If I flattened them, I had to drill them out and put another one. By then, the hole got a little bit bigger, so I had to put a bigger rivet in there. That's why I had to have different bucking bars, for that reason.
So you're proud of your service?
Yes, I am. Yes, we were so very united. We were behind our servicemen. And I felt like, hey, you know, we got a workforce here. Here I am, and I'm going to do the very best that I can. Because I wanted my brother and all the other men that went to have the best equipment that we could make. And at that time, I thought I was working for the Air Force. And then I learned that I was working for the Navy. We were making these bombers for the Navy. It was not a very happy time. When the war was over, the last day, it ended, and of course I went back to Goodyear. I had my toolbox lined against the wall on the floor. They opened the door to the runway, opened them all the way out. The plane was going to be rolled out. That was the most beautiful sight, to see all these B-25s, you know, being pulled out to the runway. Mm-hmm. And then to see women pilots flying those planes. And to see them fly and then go up. That was the most beautiful sight that I saw. Oh, God, yes.
What do they call in Hawaii? Chicken skin, right?
Yeah, it gives me that excitement, you know?
Yeah.
And the best part about it that I liked, that it was the husp that flew them out there. Not the men pilots, women pilots. Flew those planes from Goodyear, Arizona, and they took it wherever they needed it.
Now, we talked earlier about your gold medal, but you've been coming to Pearl Harbor for the past couple of years. What did you think of the Blackened Canteen ceremony where they poured the whiskey in the water?
Oh, that was news to me. I didn't know
the story behind it.
The story of the canteen.
Yeah.
And to know that canteen was dropped or something, you know, mm-hmm. and I guess it had been in the fire or something, because that canteen was black, you know. And it's real small. It probably holds about a cup, mm-hmm. not even 2 cups of water. I don't think it held. But it was small little things like that.
But the story about how there was a plane crash, and it was over in a Japanese city, and all the crewmen on board died in 2 planes. And the Japanese farmer said, you know, he was very religious and Buddhist, and he said he wanted to make sure that people got a proper burial. But some of his neighbors said, no, they killed our neighbors. So, but it was a back and forth. So, but the canteen symbolized what you know, a reconciliation, because you know, eventually, decades later, Japan is one of our biggest allies. You know, so the canteen ceremony is to kind of like put the war behind us and say, let's move forward. And what was his reaction?
I would just say happy, you know. It made me feel good because I let go of all mm-hmm. the bad feelings that I had, you know. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to live with all this hatred in you, know, and that finally released all this animosity that I had towards them. But I soon learned, you know, that it was not the Japanese people that were against me, it was their government, but I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to show apologize in my way for thinking like that.
There's a beautiful picture of Bishop Matsumoto that we saw just recently, yesterday. It was one of our photographers took a picture of his silhouette with the sunset in the back. I'll give it to you.
I have the picture of her that I took with him.
I don't know about your family. Is your brother still alive?
No.
I'm sorry to hear that. When did he pass?
No. Mm-mm.
Did he die in the war, or did he die after the war?
After the war. My brother Pete, he was not the same person that went to war. He was so quiet, wouldn't talk to anybody, you know. But he would talk to me, because Pete and I were very close to each other. Mm-hmm. Even as young kids, you know. He's the only one that communicated with me and told me what he had gone through. So Pete and I, we were very close.
Where did he serve?
He served in Japan.
Was he in the Army?
He was in the Army, yes.
Okay, and did he join when he was like 19, 18?
18 years old, he was drafted.
And how long was he in the Army?
Yeah, almost 4 years.
And when he got out, he was not the same person.
No, because he caught malaria over there.
Uh-huh.
So, and he was in a field hospital in Japan.
Okay. So you saw personally what war does to people.
Yes, I sure. Yes, I hope to God we never go through that again. Never again. To me, it means that that I was able to come to my country's aid and give them the help that they needed. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help the best way that I could. And I did it for my country, for my servicemen. And if I had to do it, I would do it again the same way. Because there's no country like our country.
You want to let people know that were like of color, that if they are a Rosie, they should join the Rosies.
Of course.
Why is that?
Well, because I think if I feel that proud of my country and I wanted to do it, they can do it too. It is an honor to serve our country. Women now can do that because we are a strong force.
I see the Rosie movement sometimes, and I kind of go, where are all the minorities? Because I know they worked.
See, my family, I never told my family where I worked and what I was doing until about 8 or 9 years later, and I just happened to be near Luke Air Force Base. And I seen a B-17 fly by, and I was standing outside with my oldest son, and I said, "Look, Bill, you see that airplane flying?" I said, "I used to work inside those wings." And he said, "What do you mean you work inside those wings, Mom?" So then I had to tell him the whole story, what I had done, because they never knew, because I never talked about it. For me, the war was over, and I was still young. I wanted to go out and have fun. You know, enjoy the music, dance, you know. I was still a young kid anyway, you know. But I didn't tell my son then, or my family. They knew I was going to work, okay? But I didn't tell what I was doing.
Yeah.
They knew that I had gone, that I needed equipment, you know, to work with. The only one that knew this was my sister, the one I borrowed her watch to buy my equipment.
Did she ever get her money back?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Because I told her, Lavinia, I said, the first paycheck that I get, I said, I'm going to pawn it. Yeah. I'm going to go to beneficial. I said, now I'm going to take the $25 you loan me, and I'm going to give them to you. But I had to work 3 weeks. I had to leave 2 weeks in, and then I get paid on the third week.
What'd they pay you an hour or a day?
40 cents an hour. But I got a chance to buy about 25 war stamps.
Sometimes when you talk to the school groups and you tell the school children, you know, especially the young women, how much you made, they kind of go, gosh. But then again, back in those days, $1 a day was, you know, like a lot of, that's what people made.
Yeah, and besides that, you know, as a young kid, what am I going to do with that money? You know, I couldn't go to downtown and buy what I wanted to, so I just gave it to my mother.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, you know, they paid me by check.
Yeah.
So when I got paid, I told Mother, come on, Mother, let's go to the bank. I'm going to cash this check. I said, because you need the money to, you know, for our youth.
One of the things I admire about the Rosies is that they basically laid the groundwork for the civil rights and the women's rights.
For women's
rights.
women.
And civil rights
because
too.
the women in them days, they could do was stay home and cook and wash and take care of the kids. And that was it. They had no freedom. They didn't even have the right to vote. Until 1934, they gave women the right to vote.
Right. So the Rosie movement helped spur those legislation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, because we have a right to vote too,
Sure.
right?
Can you vote too?
Yeah.
Good.
But it didn't come until 1935 or so. They gave women the right to vote.
Okay. I was just going to say that the other thing about the Rosie movement was May Cryer once told me a story that when the war was over, all the women got fired. A lot of the women got fired because the men came back. So there was no protection then for,
You know, they wanted their jobs back.
yeah. But also, May gave me a great quote. She said, I went to the living room, to the bedroom, to the baby boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many children did you have? You had
I
this
had
lovely daughter?
two boys.
Two boys.
And one was in the Air Force, the other was in the Army.
And how many grandchildren?
Oh gosh.
4, 5.
Five,
Five?
I believe, yeah.
Is she your favorite?
Yes.
No, I'm her only
Yeah.
daughter.
I raised her.
Yeah.
She, actually, see, I didn't have any girls, okay? All I
Okay.
had was boy. So, she's my daughter,
Okay.
okay?
And Tam is your Hanai daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Tamara, yeah.
because I raised her, she was 3 years old, and her brother was still a baby.
Okay.
I raised him because the father was working, you know. So,
Final
and I
question.
was happy to do it.
Final question. You did a great
Yeah.
interview. If you had a message to say to the people of Hawaii and people around the world who watch the Pearl Harbor Day and all the activities and the coverage about you guys going to the schools and all that, and the Rosies, what would your message be to those people?
I would tell them, never forget that freedom did not come free to them. Okay? It cost blood and tears for the land that they live. Okay? Because this land, they had to fight very hard for it. And keep it safe. Keep it safe.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That's-